The polls will be open for a few more hours tonight, giving voters a last chance to weigh in. The midterm elections are here, and in a few hours we'll have an idea of who's winning and what our local and national government will look like.
And just to give you a taste of our extensive coverage this evening, take a look at the plan. We have multiple live reports from across our area, from Rochester to Mason City, Osage to Albert Lea, and we also have political experts here in studio with us to do some analysis of everything we're seeing. We begin tonight with the tight race being closely watched across the country, the battle for the open U.S. Senate seat in Iowa between Joni Ernst and Bruce Braley.
Many believe the winner of this race could tip the balance in favor of their party in the Senate. Multiple polls have shown the race neck and neck, while others show Ernst with a lead. Moving to an Iowa State Senate race in District 27, challenger Sean Dietz is looking to take Amanda Reagan's seat. For more on this, KIMT News 3's Tyler Mickelson is live in Mason City, standing by with incumbent Amanda Reagan.
Amy, since 2003, Amanda Reagan has represented District 27, which includes Cerro Gordo, Butler, and Franklin counties. However, this year she could face her toughest challenge yet against Republican Sean Dietz. However, right now I am joined with the incumbent Democratic State Senator Amanda Reagan. Amanda, what are your thoughts on the campaign so far this year?
Well, it's just been a great whole summer, and we've met lots of voters. It's just been a challenge to get it all done, but it has been really, truly wonderful going to the doors, visiting with people, and just getting a chance to talk about issues.
Now, if you are re-elected in 2015, what are some of the issues that you're going to focus on in Des Moines?
Well, we'll continue to work with expanding the economy with good-paying jobs, build on quality education, and also helping with the seniors and keeping them in their homes, as well as supporting the renewable fuels, as we've done in the past.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda. Now, coming up next hour, we are going to chat with her challenger, Republican Sean Dietz, but right now we're going to send it to Dee Dee Stephen, who is live in Rochester covering the mayor race. Dee Dee.
Well, Tyler, this mayor's race in Rochester really comes down to who will be leading the Med City going into the first phase of the Destination Medical Center project. Current Mayor Ardell Brady has been in his seat since 2002 and has worked with state lawmakers to pass important bills like the DMC and the Mayo Civic Center expansion. Now, on the other side of the coin, Cindy Mavis says she will be the voice of reason in city leadership and an advocate for the average citizen. Interesting thing to note, Amy, is Mavis out fundraised Mayor Brady by $15,000.
All right, good information. Thank you, Dee Dee. We'll keep you updated on the results of both of those races later tonight. Polls in Minnesota close at 8. Polls in Iowa are open until 9. And of course, the weather can always impact voter turnout on Election Day. Doesn't look like that's the case in our area. Blessed with some wonderful weather. Absolutely. I went out to the polling place and just could not believe how wonderful it really is. And for more on what it looks like and is going to look like for the last couple hours of voting, we are joined now by meteorologist Josh Worster, who's live in Mason City. Still beautiful out there, Josh?
Yeah, you know, it's still very nice out here. Clear skies, starting to cool down a little bit, but still above where our typical high temperatures are this time of year. And really, despite, you know, the mild temperatures, nothing stopped anybody from getting out to the polls today. And that hasn't always been the case, though. Look at some Election Day history. We topped out into the 70s for our warmest Election Day, and we've got as cool as the 20s for our coldest high Election Day. So obviously some variation there. And one of the bigger factors we always look at is the precipitation. Obviously, you know, rain or snow this time of year, both potential, and we've seen over 1.25 inches rain being reported on Election Day, and also over 2 inches of snow. Obviously, the snow playing a little bit more of an impact with people getting out to the polls, and like we mentioned, no issues today and no issues in sight if you're heading out for the rest of the night tonight. So definitely go out and cast that vote, and if you're a fan of the Election Day trivia or the Election Day fun facts, tune back in tonight at 6 o'clock because we have another list for you coming up then. I am. This makes me want to go back to 2008, though, yeah, weather-wise.
70s,
yeah, right?
Wow.
You and me both.
Fantastic. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Of course, the election isn't the only thing happening right now. The announcement is now being made official. A local Target will close its doors. The company announced today it was closing 11 locations beginning in February. That includes the one in Austin. A location in Clinton, Iowa will be closed as well. An update to a fatal crash that happened last week. The driver of one of the vehicles is recovering. According to Mayo Clinic, Avenel Ross is now in fair condition. Last week, she was in critical condition following the accident on the Avenue of the Saints. Police say Ross was driving the Dodge Caravan that struck a DOT vehicle on the Avenue of the Saints. The passenger in the van, Tom Frericks, was killed in the crash. Well, depending on the outcome, this election could make history. Many firsts could come from the midterm, including the possibility of the longest-serving governor in U.S. history, as well as the first woman from Iowa to make it to Washington. Whatever the outcome, it'll be at the hands of many voters. As KIMT News 3's Levi Ismail shows us, polling places have been very busy.
Precincts all across North Iowa are running out of election booths and election stickers as they try to meet the tremendous voter turnout. In Mason City, precincts are expected to see as many as 700 to 800 voters turn out at each location. Voting officials say it's been a constant pace since the polls first opened early this morning at 7 a.m. and that they expect a larger than anticipated rush in some locations when the polls close this evening. In Mason City, Levi Ismail, KIMT News 3.
Well, Mason City precincts are expected to see as many as 700 voters turn out at each location. Well, in Iowa's 1st Congressional District, Republican Rod Blum is facing Democrat Pat Murphy. The two are vying for the open house seat left vacant by Bruce Braley. And here's a few more races. Steve King is looking for another term in Iowa's 4th Congressional District. He's facing Democratic challenger Jim Maurer. And as we mentioned, Rod Blum is facing Pat Murphy. And also Terry Branstad is looking for a 6th term as governor, and Democratic challenger Jack Hatch will try to prevent history. If Branstad wins, he'll most likely become the nation's longest serving governor during his next term.
And thank you, Amy. We are now joined by Bennett Smith, history and political science instructor at NIAC. He's here to talk to us about some of the big races tonight, give us some perspective. We're going to check first on the big one, the race between Joni Ernst and Bruce Braley, the big race across the country being watched by political watchers everywhere. This started as Braley way out in front, say this spring, before people really knew who Joni Ernst was. What changed?
I think a couple of things, Matt. One is there's a real anti-Washington sentiment going on in the country. And then secondly, Braley made a real gaffe early in the campaign with the comments about Chuck Grassley being a farmer. And so I think that really hurt him early on in the race.
You think that gaffe was enough to knock his standing?
I think it did. I think it set him back in the race, and I think he's had a hard time competing with the narrative that Joni Ernst has put out, which is a very Iowa-centered kind of narrative.
Sure. Well, it's something you definitely hear about in conversation when talking about this race. Also, big news over the weekend, a Des Moines Register poll showed Joni Ernst up by 7 percentage points. Do you see that as accurate? How do you predict this turning out tonight?
Well, that's interesting, Matt, because the Des Moines Register poll is widely considered the gold standard of polling. But I doubt that it's +7. Quinnipiac came out with a poll yesterday, so it was +0. And I think it's going to be about +2 or 3 for Ernst.
Okay, so a tight one.
Tight race, but I think the wave is enough for Ernst to get through.
All right, thank you for your analysis. We'll be checking back in with Bennett throughout the evening. For now, set it back to Amy.
The House race is heating up in District 51. Democratic candidate Laura Hubka is hoping to take the seat of incumbent Josh Burns. KIMT News 3's Allie Krug joins us live in Osage with candidate Burns.
That's right, Amy. I'm here with Republican candidate Josh Burns, who is running to keep his seat in the House of Representatives. Now, Josh, let's talk about the campaign. How do you think things went this year?
Oh, I think they went fine. You know, we do what we always do and run a good, clean, positive campaign. You get out there, you tell voters about, you know, especially when you're an incumbent, you tell them about the things you've done, the things you've accomplished, and then you talk about the things that you're going to continue to work on, and you tell them your plan, you know, and I think that's what they want to hear.
Absolutely. Now, if things go your way tonight, what will be your first steps in office?
Well, obviously, I think most people out there would know my passion for road funding and trying to figure out how we're going to pay for our aging infrastructure and roads and bridges, and so, you know, that's probably priority one as soon as the session starts in January.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck tonight, and we'll hear more from District 51 coming up later on. We're going to talk with Democratic candidate Laura Hubka, but for now, let's check in with KIMT's Raquel Hellman. She's live in Albert Lee with the Freeborn County Sheriff's race. Raquel?
Thank you very much, Allie. Yeah, it's one of the most talked about races in our area this year, the Freeborn County Sheriff's race, as you said. And I am joined now by one of the candidates, Deputy Kurt Freitag. Kurt, thank you for joining us on this crazy day for you, I know.
Thank you.
Now, there's a few more hours. The polls are open a few more hours. What would your last-minute message be to voters to go out there, and what would you like them to know?
I think what I'd like for people to know is that during this campaign season, I've talked about fundamental services that we need to provide to the people of our county, things like better investigations, more patrol presence, and also I want to get our ICE contract back up to where it should be, and those are my goals right off the bat, and also improving morale. So, you know, in a nutshell, that's what I'd like for people to know when they go to the polls these last, 3 hours.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kurt. And we will be hearing from his opponent, Sheriff Bob Kindler, coming up tonight at 6. For now, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Raquel. We'll have much more from you throughout the evening as well. Joining me now is political analyst Dr. Eric Shores, and he's here to talk about some of the top Minnesota races. Thank you for coming in today.
Always good to be here.
Well, Ernst and Braley, that's the big race. A lot of eyes are watching that tonight. How about the U.S. Senate seat in Minnesota as well?
There's going to be much more drama in Iowa tonight than there will be in Minnesota. There's a lot of safe seats, and I think you'll see Senator Franken win comfortably. I think you'll see Governor Dayton win by a lesser margin than Franken will win in his Senate race. And I think you'll see Tim Walz come through as well. I think the race to watch is the Savick-Bennett race. There's been a lot of time, effort, campaigning, and money put into that race. And really where the drama will be tonight for Minnesota is will the Democrats keep the House of Representatives, and that's really what Dayton is counting on. And in his campaigning for House candidates, he's been saying, we don't want Washington gridlock here. Let's keep it a Democratic St. Paul.
Okay. Do you think anything more on that Shannon Savick, Gene Poppe, anything vulnerable with that?
Savick, vulnerable. Poppe, I think, wins comfortably, but again, probably not by as great a margin as Franken will win the Senate.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll have more from you later on, Eric. Matt?
And moving on to a few more races that we will be covering tonight. In Minnesota, the gubernatorial race is between incumbent Mark Dayton and Republican challenger Jeff Johnson. Now, if Dayton wins, this will be his second term in office. Another seat up for grabs in Minnesota's 1st congressional district. Incumbent Tim Walz is running for his 5th term in Congress. Republican challenger there, Jim Hagedorn. Coming up, we're taking a brief break from the election as a whistleblower speaks out about what he saw when he worked for some of the country's biggest food companies.
Covering Your Health is next.
You are watching KIMT News 3 at 5. Iowa, Minnesota together.
A North Iowa woman strikes gold twice. Her unlikely story is coming right up. First, though, tonight, Fred Hoiberg's replacement has officially been found. Iowa State is announcing that Steve Prohm will be the 20th men's basketball coach in team history. We're going to go early to sports director A.J. Ellingson to learn a little bit more about the decision and the Cyclones' new bench boss. A.J.
Hey, Matt, if the Cyclones were looking for a guy that's won a lot of games, Steve Prohm is the right choice. In his 4 years as the head coach at Murray State, Prohm compiled a record of 104 and 29. The 40-year-old head coach has the top winning percentage in Murray State history at .782. He also has 17 years of college basketball coaching experience, spending time at Tulane, Southeastern Louisiana, and Centenary as an assistant coach. Murray State advanced to the 3rd round of the Big Dance in 2012. Coach Prohm will be introduced in Ames at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Matt.
All right, we're learning a lot more about him pretty quickly. Thank you, A.J. We want to know what you think of the Coach Prohm hire. We've got a poll open on the sports page at KIMT.com. You can give the Cyclones hire a grade A through F. One man was taken to the hospital after a close call on the roads this morning in Freeborn County. Around 9, the sheriff's office was called to this scene just west of Freeborn. Authorities say a semi and grain truck were headed in opposite directions on a narrow curve. The grain truck tried to move out of the way, but that caused it to roll onto its side, spilling grain all over the ditch.
Both of them didn't fit on the same roadway. One of them tried to move over as far as he could. Got over a little too far, and passenger side tires kind of rolled off into the ditch.
And the driver of the grain truck was taken to Mayo Clinic Health System in Albert Lea. We're told he suffered only minor injuries. More details are being released today about a house fire that happened last Friday. The Mason City Fire Department says an overheated electrical outlet was the cause. They say it shorted out and caused nearby items to catch fire. This all happened along North Massachusetts Avenue. Damage was contained to the bedroom on the main floor, and nobody was home when the blaze broke out. The tenants called the fire department when they returned home. They were able to rescue a dog and other caged pets. They were all removed from the home safely. 2 more homes were broken into in southern Minnesota. That makes 4 in the past few weeks. Authorities are looking into whether any of those are connected now. The Olmsted County Sheriff's Office says somebody forced their way inside a house on this block in Orinoco and stole credit cards, jewelry, and purses. Investigators didn't have an exact value on what was taken, but say it is significant. Officials say these could be connected because in each case, suspects used a similar method to break in. Well, pretty calm and beautiful day outside, but in Iowa, of course, that can change in just hours, and it's important to stay prepared during severe weather season. Chief Meteorologist Adam Frederick is live for us now at Hy-Vee East in Mason City with a tool that could help once severe weather does hit. Adam.
Well, thanks a lot, Matt. And I got Amy Fleming out here. You're learning a lot about weather radios today, aren't you, Amy?
I am. I now know how to program both of these weather radios, so I'm hoping people will come out and buy a weather radio or bring the one you have, and we're happy to program it for you for your particular county.
That's right, and Hy-Vee is also providing free batteries for anyone that buys their weather radios today or brings their weather radio in to be programmed. So, you know, a good opportunity to maybe get it checked and whatnot, and you can have a limited edition Amy Fleming program weather radio. I don't think you've ever done that before, have you?
No, I haven't. You know, and you have your choice between 2 different styles, too. Limited edition.
And we can get a Sharpie marker, and we can even have her autograph it, too.
Oh, goodness.
No, yes. But we'll take a look at if we have any need for the weather radios in the near future coming up a little bit. There'll definitely be some hot air. When we take a look and see what's happening, storming through live site, fairly comfortable today. 81 degrees is the current temperature. Mason City, John Adams Middle School. And as you're heading outside tonight, temperatures generally into the upper 70s and lower 80s across the area. By 6 o'clock, we'll be seeing our temperatures still hovering into the lower 80s to a few upper 70s. More upper 70s by 7 o'clock for tonight. And as we head towards the 8 o'clock hour tonight, we'll be seeing the temperatures more down into the mid 70s. But Amy and I are going to be here until about 6:30 for tonight, helping to program weather radios. So if you need some help with the weather radio, getting it programmed, you can take it home, plug it in, and it just works. That's the magic of Amy's programming tonight.
Yeah, it's all because of me, right?
That's right.
No, not at all. Come down and say hello at least, and we're at Hy-Vee East in Mason City.
Hey, Adam, I have one programmed already. Can I get both of you to sign it?
Sure, why not? We'll do it back at the station.
All right, that sounds good. That'll be a valuable one. Thanks.
Iowa
Governor Terry Branstad has not said whether or not he'll be signing off on the $7 billion spending plan approved by lawmakers last week. In fact, he's criticizing legislators for not approving education funding for the 2016 school year. Today, he told reporters at a weekly press conference that he needs to review all of the budget bills before putting pen to paper.
I know they had a very difficult time coming together, and I know there are some strong feelings on both sides. But I'm the chief executive of the state, and I've heard from schools and I've heard from Iowans that they don't like this constant fight.
And it's still up in the air whether he'll call lawmakers back to resolve the issue in a special session. Meanwhile, negotiations between lawmakers in Minnesota are moving forward now after Governor Mark Dayton conceded on one big issue. Dayton had wanted to delay or roll back a bill that would let counties hire private auditors for financial reviews that are now done by the state auditor. Republicans did not budge, and late today Dayton announced he would give up the fight on that issue. There are other bills to deal with, though, in the special session, and if they aren't passed by July 1st, thousands of state employees will be laid off due to a partial government shutdown. Rail accidents killed 6 people nationwide in 2013 and 10 last year. Authorities are hoping those numbers drop this year, and officials say now is a great time to remind folks how to stay safe around railroads. June is Rail Safety Month in Minnesota, and state officials say most rail accidents happen when drivers or people walking ignore the safety signs, the signals, and the gates. And since Minnesota has among the most rail lines in the country, it's important to know what's happening around you.
Even in Rochester especially, people do see that downtown. So it's just good to pay attention, follow those rules, pay attention to the warning signals and the crossing arms.
And he reminds everybody it's illegal to pass those crossing arms when they're down, says it's never a smart idea to try to beat a train across the tracks. Work is wrapping up on a new fish habitat project in Winnebago County that will make a local lake even more fish-friendly. County conservation officers tell us crews worked on rip wrapping at Lake Catherine. That's just outside Forest City. Now that's where they lay limestone boulders along the shoreline to make more of an inviting space for fish to hide and breed. The project spanned more than 200 yards of shoreline, and officials say it was well worth it, especially since so much of it was state-funded.
This project was funded by fishermen. And whenever you buy a fishing license, it includes a $3 fish habitat stamp, which is put in a protected fund available to county conservation boards and to the DNR for a fish habitat project like this one.
And he says the project will also help to keep soil from running off into the lake, making the water even cleaner than it was. Well, the odds of winning a lottery grand prize, they're not very good, but winning it twice, that's got to be near impossible. Don't tell that, though, to a Charles City woman who has made a habit of being very, very lucky. KIMT News 3's Levi Esmail is in Charles City today. Joins us now from Studio 3 with this amazing story. Levi?
Matt, lucky doesn't even begin to describe how fortunate Donna Holtz of Charles City has been as she cashes in on yet another scratch-off grand prize. Holtz just recently claimed one of 65 top prizes of $30,000 in the Iowa Lottery's crossword scratch game. It's her second time winning the grand prize. She did so back in 2001 as well. Holtz says she doesn't necessarily consider herself lucky, although her family and friends say otherwise.
It's possible, which I prove that, but you know, you don't generally go to the store and buy a ticket expecting to get a $30,000 winner. So, and then to turn around and I figured that would be a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Holtz says she won't have any access to the money that's in the bank right now until tomorrow. When asked about what she plans on doing with the money, she says she's not sure. One thing, however, may be upgrading her car to something much newer. Matt?
Well, she's got the cash to do it now. Thanks, Levi. Now, if you're feeling lucky, there are still 64 grand prizes of $30,000 up for grabs in that same scratch-off game. You have to beat her to your ticket, though. For more information, you can visit our website, KIMT.com. Well, there's a game that's gaining popularity across the globe, and it's making its way to our area now. It's called the Escape Challenge. This building in Rochester will be the future home of it. Starting next month, folks will take on the challenge, trying to get out of a locked room by finding clues and solving puzzles along the way. There are several locations for these types of games, including Des Moines and Minneapolis, but this will be the first of its kind in southern Minnesota.
This area is a little more on the conservative side, so that, there's a little concern there that people might be a little standoffish on that to start with. But I do think that there is, it's going to get a good following here.
And to learn more about the challenge, you can head to KIMT.com and find this story under local news. Lyme disease, it's one of the dangers of tick season, but it isn't the only one. See the other dangers the biting bugs carry next in Covering Your Health.
You are watching KIMT News 3 at 5. Iowa, Minnesota together.